Hello and welcome, this is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more of the Flashpoint DLC for BattleTech. And this video is going to be devoted pretty much entirely to setting up a few mechs and then probably traveling to our next destination if we have enough time for that. So let's just get started right away. So we have 3 mechs to design, and I'm not really sure what kind of weapons loadout we have to use. The Thunderbolt is more than likely going to be used by us as a frontline mech. So what we're looking at from this point in the future, if we're going to talk about a frontline setup, we have the Trebuchet as our support mech, we have the Shadowhawk as our scout, no, I'm sorry, the Griffin as our scout. So those two are pretty locked in my opinion, unless we use the Thunderbolt as a support mech, which we could do. Other than that, we have a little bit more up in the air of what we could do. At the moment, we're using our Shadowhawk for our high damage output, close range brawler, and the 4th mech in our lineup has kind of been a little fluid. It has been filled by the Hunchback as well as our Vindicator. I think it's time to kind of move on beyond that. So for sure, these 3 mechs, one of them is going to be used in our primary setup. And I think the Thunderbolt is going to be that 4th mech. Whether it be piloted by Gnarly or Toxic or whoever, that's probably the one we're going to go for. Now the question is, what kind of firepower do we have to put in it? Now, the other thing I could do, as I mentioned, is we could make this a support mech. We could put maybe a couple other M20s in here. This is a heavier mech, so I could probably do that. But you're looking at, what, 20 tons for that, and then we would probably want 3-4 tons of ammo. Now, as far as durability goes, I'm not sure if this is more durable than the default loadout, but it's going to be the most durable mech that we have. So we may not have to mess with the armor at all. Looking at the arms, it looks like those are maxed out. Legs are almost maxed out. Everything else is, you know, it's pretty good. It's pretty good armor. We probably don't have to mess with it too much, maybe a little bit in the torso, but we don't have to if we don't want to. So we could really focus on the damage output. But considering how heavily armored it is, does it make a good support mech? I don't think it does. So in that regard, I think we don't do that. Now, as far as what we've got 5 energy weapon slots. Traditional loadout for a Thunderbolt, and I'm talking the standard load variant, not this variant, would be 3 medium lasers, an LRM-15, a large laser, 2 machine guns, and an SRM-2, I believe. I might be wrong on 1 or 2 things there, but I'm pretty sure that's what its default loaded out is. To make it more efficient, it's pretty easy to do. Probably remove the machine guns. That gives you a couple tons, and you could do a bunch of things. You could get rid of the SRM-2 as well, and that gives you another couple tons. So you could easily get 4 tons out of this mech right there. The 3 medium lasers and the large laser, those are pretty effective weapons. We could go more for large lasers. As a matter of fact, let's look at our energy weapons choices. I don't have any upgraded large lasers. I really wish I did, because we could get good damage output. I haven't really been getting much upgraded weapons outside of my missiles. Speaking of missiles, how are we looking on our SRMs? So we do have 1 damage upgrade SRM. So if we wanted to go close range, we could go with this one SRM-6, give us a little bit more damage output. But I'm really thinking we should do some kind of LRM. So typically this thing has an LRM-15, which I can't show, but I know that that is 7 tons, I believe. So if we were to upgrade that to an LRM-20, that's not a bad deal. And when you consider that we've maybe stripped out machine guns, you're kind of already through that getting yourself an upgraded long-range punch. I'm going to try it. Let's say that's what we do. We do an LRM-20, so we have some long-range punch here. Then we go with a couple tons of ammo. We'll stick that in the legs for now. This will probably be the only ammo-fed weapon we use. Okay, so we're good there. Now we're going to go over to our energy weapon slots, because we really don't have anything else other than our support weapon slots. So in this regard, I'm thinking 1, maybe 2 large lasers. 2 might be a little too far. We don't have more than 2, so there's that, but 2 might be too far as the standpoint of how much heat we're going to generate. Let's say we do 1 for now. we could go with the 3 medium lasers, like go with the accuracy up ones here. So we go 1, 2. So yeah, I mean, right now we're really heat inefficient, but obviously we're going to be putting heat sinks in here. The default Thunderbolt would have heat sinks. So, and then we would go 3, and that would be our 3rd medium laser. We get a lot of aim accuracy buff there. So the likelihood we're going to land with the medium laser is definitely increased. Damage output wise, we're looking at 195. It's not the highest damage output we've seen. All right, well, let's see. Cockpit mod is probably strongly recommended for this mech. That doesn't cost us any tonnage, it just costs us a slot in our head, which is fine. We're not going to use it for anything else anyway. There's nothing else that we could put in there. Okay, now that we have that, let's think about heat sinks here. So, say we put 1 here, put a couple in here. Keep an eye on that heat efficiency. I want this thing relatively heat efficient. All right, so we could do that, and then I could maybe slot in 1 more medium laser. Finishes off. Now, I'm afraid that would be very heat inefficient, and it wouldn't indeed be very heat efficient. One thing to consider, though, is we would not necessarily be firing all of these weapons all of the time. Alternatively, so this is going to build up 18 heat. I think we don't do a medium laser. I think we do small lasers instead. We have how many slots for that? 3. Ideally, I'd want to use all of them, wouldn't I? All right, let's remove 1. Where are our support weapons? Oh, they're all over there. Okay, that's a problem. Why don't we grab this one? Put it there. That gives us all of our 3 support slots. Very focused over here. I could also move the heatsink. That was a possibility as well. All right, so let's take a look at our support weapons. Now, we could do things like flamers, and that would serve a certain purpose. For one, it doesn't generate any heat. I don't actually have that many flamers, unfortunately. Maybe I could buy one here. Let's see. We want to look at support weapons. Okay, yeah, like we could buy one. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. We could do 3 flamers. How heavy are they, though? They're a ton, aren't they? Yeah, they're a ton. So we really couldn't pull that off. But if we did that, I could fit 2. And if I did that, wouldn't necessarily be great damage, but you get a lot of that heat generation. 3 is nothing to laugh off with how much heat damage that would do. You're looking at 30 heat from 3 flamers. Kind of remind me of the Fire Dragon a little bit, using the flamers for a close range firepower. Alternatively, of course, I go with small lasers. That would generate heat, of course. But we've seen how effective small lasers can be, and if this thing ever gets close, we're looking at 195 damage right now. Now, you would take out 80 from the LRM-20, which we wouldn't use at that kind of range. It'd be too close range. But if you add in, we're looking at 175 for close, and then 195 at like medium, like that very specific medium range bracket. We could do the 195, and then beyond that, we would be looking at the LRM-20 plus the large laser, which would be 120. So it's pretty good damage at all range categories. Close in, you're doing all right. At that really perfect medium range bracket, you're looking at 195, and then the longer range, we're looking at 120. It could be a pretty well-rounded mech. And I don't know what kind of melee potential it has. We're looking at 80 damage, which I think that I'd have to check. I think the Shadowhawk may be better than that. All right, well, I think we go with the small lasers. Now, I'm not going to do the damage upgraded small lasers because I'd actually like to put those in the Firestarter because we've seen the Firestarter be very effective, and this does more damage than a medium laser. So, and this does the same amount of damage as a medium laser. So I kind of would like to put those in if I can get them in there. So yeah, I'm just going to do normal small lasers. I am a little concerned about the heat, but again, we have to consider the fact that we would not be using the large laser, the LRM-20 at that range. So we can at with our heat, how much does a small laser produce? It does 6 heat, so we're looking at 18 heat with those. So at longer range, subtract 18 heat, so it would be 72. So we're producing 30 more heat than we can contend with. At closer ranges where the LRM-20 is not going to be effective, we could produce, how much is it for this? Also 18. So that makes that math really nice. So if we're never going to produce 90 heat, it's only going to be 72. So kind of ignore that factor. This is still a very hot running mech though, so a little concerning for sure. But if I do this loadout, I really cannot. The only way I could get away with it is if I only did one. I can't get away. You really can't get away with just 1 ton of LRM ammo. That's just not enough. And I don't want to lower the medium lasers too much more, because that really eats into my damage potential. I think we're just going to have to accept that this is a pretty hot running mech. Because I don't really know that there's anything I can do about it. I think the LRM-20 is a mistake. I really do. I think it's too heavy. We could go with more weight efficiency in mind, and we could go LRM-5s. We could do 3 LRM-5s. It would be hotter. No, yeah. No, it'd be the same amount of heat. But it'd give us a lot more weight to work with. I think that's what I'm going to end up doing. Might as well use the... yeah, might as well use the extra crit chance. But yeah, I'm going to go with this just because of the weight efficiency. I don't have an LRM-15. Oh. Do we not have... Oh, we only have 3. Ah! You don't quite get that efficiency if you go with an LRM-5 and an LRM-10. Ideally, you would want 3 LRM-5s. But the LRM-10 would do what we were looking for. It'd be the same amount of tonnage. You would suffer from the... You know what? Let's just look for an LRM-15. I would expect the store... Okay, the store doesn't have one. Alright, that's a little bit of a bummer. I think the LRM-20 was too heavy. We're going to go with an LRM-5, we're going to go with an LRM-10. Okay, that gives us a little bit more room for heat sinks. So I will put one here. I'll put 2 in the center torso, and then we're going to use that half ton of armor. So I'm going to go with a little bit more armor on the side torsos, as I feel like that could be improved. And then I think a little bit more rear armor in that side as well. Yeah, I think that's a little bit better. We're a little bit heavier in the armor department. We don't quite have the long range damage that I was looking for, but it's definitely, I think, a better balance with heat efficiency and what have you. Now we can deal with 51 heat. We know from what we've already looked at, we're looking at 6 plus 10, so we're looking at 16 heat there. So with what heat we can generate, we're doing still that 72, I believe, at closer ranges, but now we're doing only 70 at the longer ranges. A little bit more something we can deal with. All right, so that's it. That's probably going to be the more lengthy of the design processes here, but obviously I have room for improvement for this mech, but it's still going to be a pretty darn good mech. Now, obviously I did not end up taking the jump jets because we really couldn't afford it in my mind, but that's okay. Again, we're effective at all different range brackets. Even if we don't have line of sight, we still have decent damage. Not great, but it's something we can do. So we can always put out damage no matter what our situation. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and confirm that. I'm going to expect this is going to take a while to finish. All right, so that's going to be the one that we had to decide the most on. Now, the Kataro is in a situation where it has a lot of missile slots. This could be a potential support mech. Not typically how you'd use a Kintaro, and it has a lot of durability, so that's another reason why you may not typically use it that way. For example, the Shadowhawk could be our support mech. We do have 3 missile slots. Let's start with that. See what we can do. Now, I would want to up armor it compared to where it is, because it's not in a great spot. But let's take a look. Now, let's start with our missiles. So, for this to be an upgrade for us, it has to be LRM-20s. First off, we don't have 2 LRM-15s, and we can't buy 2 LRM-15s. So there's that. We only have 3 slots, so we're not going to be messing around with LRM-5s. This is going to be, it has to be LRM-20s. So what can we get away with 2 LRM-20s? Can we get away with anything with that? Okay, so in theory, we would want, I would say 4 tons of, yeah, there's no way this is working. As a support mech, there's no way this is working, because where it stands right now, I would need 4 tons of ammo, in my opinion, to make this viable. We can't even do that. So, nah. We're not quite at that point where we really can improve upon what the Trebuchet is doing. Maybe if I had LRM-15s, maybe just very slightly I could improve, but nah, that's not going to be something we're really improving. This has a problem of having very little armor, so we have to work with that. I don't think this Shadowhawk is going to be the main one I want to mess with just yet. I think the guitar is the one we really want to mess with, so let's go ahead and refit that. Alright, so with this, I really think that using it as a close-range brawler is its best strength because of how well armored it is. It's the heaviest armored medium mech from stock. So, with that being said, its normal loadout is 3 SRM-6s, which I like SRM-6s. I think that's a very good loadout. So, I am going to probably tend towards that. Now, I'm going to put the better SRM-6 there. And then, unfortunately, we have default SRM-6s. This is probably not going to be a frontline mech, even though it could be. Although, to get it to be a frontline mech, what we would have to do is we'd have to take something like the Griffin, not the Griffin, the other Shadowhawk. And we'd have to strip out its weapons and give them to the Kintaro. Which, I'm not sure is the best idea. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this the non-jump jet heavy damage variant. Perhaps. We still have more missile slots. So we could go even crazier with SRM-6s, which is just my favorite weapon in this game. So could we go all SRM-6 for our damage? I mean, at this point we're looking at 252 damage. Unfortunately, we can't do that from a heat efficiency standpoint, and we can't do that from a we need ammunition standpoint. So we're looking at 4 SRM-6s as opposed to 5. And at 4, we're looking at 24 shots per turn if we fire all of them. So with that in mind, we get 100 shots. So that's only going to last us about 4 turns. So we're looking at potentially, I would say 3 tons of ammo we would want. And that would still probably be tricky from an endurance standpoint. So I think what I'm going to do, oh no, I'm going to put 1 in each leg, and then I'm going to put 1 there. So that gives us a little more than 12 turns worth of firing. So that's good. Now we have to deal with the heat that we're generating here. So we might as well grab a couple heat sinks. We'll put them in the center torso. Maybe a little too heat efficient, but hey, damage output we're looking at with stock SRMs, except for the one, we're looking at 204, which is pretty darn good. As a matter of fact, that might be one of our highest outputs. I'm pretty happy with this loadout. Yeah, it's almost entirely missile weapons. It is entirely missile weapons, but hey, it's fun. I think I like it. So let's go with that.
Right. I'll get it.
Probably not going to be a frontline mech for us. Okay, now the Shadowhawk. This one's going to be a little tricky too, because we have choices to make. Now, clearly, I don't have... Ooh. I don't know. I don't know about that. I think the best choice here is we focus on energy weapons. I think that's what's going to do us the best. We could go a PPC here. We could even go 2 PPCs if we wanted to. I don't think that would be ideal. I don't think it would be efficient from a damage output standpoint. I mean, I tend to be a big fan of medium lasers in particular. Let's say we go with a single PPC. Okay, and then maybe 2 medium lasers. As I said, we could go another PPC here. Obviously, we're going to be very heat inefficient, as PPCs do how much heat? 35 heat. See, that's why I don't like PPCs. I mean, if you look at a large laser, it's only 10 less damage, but it is almost half the amount of heat. This has a little bit more range, and it does have that ability to mess up people's sensors, so you give them an attack penalty. But from that standpoint, I'm not a big fan of PPCs. I think they're just too heat. And what we're looking at right here, I only have 10 tons to play with. I'm going to have to put a bunch of heat sinks in to contend with how much heat we're building up here. I'm only going to have 100 damage. That's pretty bad. So I think we go with 1 PPC, and then possibly 2 medium lasers here. So very energy weapon centric. And then we have how many missile slots? We have 3. Here we could go with the 3 LRM-5 thing. So LRM-5, LRM-5. Now I don't know what this is going to look like when we're done. With that, we're looking at 15 shots a turn, and normal LRM ammo gives you 120. So 1 ton may not be enough, but I'm hesitant to use 2 tons. It's not going to give us a lot of room to play with. I also have to worry about the ammo. I mean, not ammo, armor. I just don't think this is a good loadout. Let's not do that. I think that's a bad loadout. What's our damage output now? Still only 100. Maybe an SRM-6? And then just armor and heat sinks to make up for the rest? Alright, well, let's start with armor. See where we can get. So, I would like... Let's start with 70. Double the armor here. We'll go up to 90. And both the sides. Pretty much at this point, I'm just going to be almost doubling. I think I'm going to go up to 110 here. Definitely we want like 70 here. Minimum. Maybe more than that. Let's go up to 35, 35, 40. Okay. We don't have a lot of tons to work with. Let's max out the head. So go up to, let's say, 90 in the legs. Okay. Alright. Let's play with heat sinks here, so we know how much we would need. So I'm gonna go... We're not gonna do jump jets. Shadowhawk would normally have jump jets. I'm not gonna focus on that. I'm not sure I really like this mech. I think it's kind of crummy, but I'm trying to get the most damage efficient with what equipment we have. In theory, it would be a large laser, and I still think maybe that's the right move. I can't justify a PPC at this weight class. If we were a heavier mech, maybe I could, but medium and down, I can't justify it. I think it's a bad idea. So we're looking at a significant increase in heat efficiency. And then I could actually speak about getting the LRMs that I was looking at. Yeah, definitely this is going to be a better idea, I think. Gives us a more flexible mech. Okay, so we're looking at that. We are definitely going to need those heat sinks back now. We do want at least 1 ton of ammo for those LRMs. Maybe 2. Let's go with 2. All right, now we're gonna need those heat sinks. So we're gonna go. I'm not gonna be able to afford a lot here, but I think we're gonna take as many as we can get. Okay, so that's as much as we can do. Now we're gonna be all about getting the rest of our armor up. So I'm gonna look for, let's say, 80 in the arms, 100 in the legs. Oh, okay, we've gone beyond where we can go. The 95 in the legs, and then we'll do 45 the rear torso. I don't know. I guess that works for me. So we've definitely upgraded the armor. We're looking at 800. So this isn't an ideal frontline mech. We've got the large laser, we've got an LRM, well, if we add them all up, we have 3 LRM5s, which equals an LRM15. I'm not sure I'm so enthused about the damage output of this mech, but hey, it's something. And it's alright. Not a big fan, but we have to work with what we got.
On it. I'll let you know when that's done.
Alright, that's going to be it for this. Now, what I could have done is I could have done the Shadowhawk, and I could have set it up the same way that we've been doing with the Griffin and our other Shadowhawk to be a close range brawler. Ooh, I like this art style. It looks kind of cool. But yeah, all right, we've done the work. And we've got kind of this triangle motif going with some of our mechs. Out of curiosity, pattern 3, pattern 4. Is pattern 4 similar? No, not on the Griffin. I think each mech has a little bit of variance. What about on the 2H? What does pattern 4 look like? Oh, it doesn't let me do that while they're being worked on. That's kind of a bummer. Pattern 3, pattern 4. Yeah, so every mech's a little different as far as their looks. All right, well, that's enough messing around with that. Let's go ahead and take a look at where we're going to end up going. Also, we have to think about how we want to order the work we want to do. Definitely the Hatchetmen and the Hunchback are very much lower priorities. So what we want to do is we want to put, I would say, the Thunderbolt up, because we're more than likely going to use that as a frontline mech. I would say the Kintaro would be the next one in priority list, and then I could care less about these other ones. Probably the Hatchetman would be the lowest priority out of the bunch. I guess that is a decent order, but we want the Trebuchet and Shadowhawk to get finished first, then the Thunderbolt, and then we're more or less ready to go at that point. Alright, so let's see where we're going to end up traveling. So we do have this trip to this system, and there we know we have one mission, and it is paying for our journey. The other place I had thought about going, not this place, I think it was either here or there. Okay, so we have a jump from here to there. So if we're going to end up going here, the best move is to go here. So we might as well take that travel contract, which doesn't seem that bad. It's a 3-skull mission, which is kind of on the upper end of what we can handle, but now that we have that Thunderbolt, we might be able, all right. So let's go ahead and negotiate. 3-skull, we could end up with decent salvage. I think we end up looking for that. Better salvage, although we just got a bunch of mechs, and I'm kind of happy with my situation at the moment. We've got solid medium mechs. We're starting to get into that heavy section. But I'm not sure how far I want to go into the heavy. So there is that. But I think we go for the more salvage anyway, because we're doing all right money-wise. We'll go ahead and accept this contract, which will, of course, start us traveling, which we are ready to do. We do have a financial report, and Argo, okay. In the morning briefing, Sumire asked something unexpected. So what's the story with those mech warriors bowling in the barracks hallways? Darius crosses his arms over his chest. I've already put an end to that. Toxic and Promenade, or calling it Corridor Bocce. I shut it down as a matter of discipline. He turned to Darius. How much trouble have their games caused? They're playing on unused corridors, so not much, but it was only a matter of time before something or someone got damaged. We should really repair the gym and beta pod instead. Yeah, I mean, he's right. But we should repair the gym, that is. Let's host one last public game. That sounds fun, right? I don't want to reverse his decision from a discipline standpoint. I kind of get what they were doing. They're doing it in unused hallways, but yeah, I mean, this is a kind of dangerous ship, as we still have work to do on it. So we'll host one more public game. It will be more watched. Maybe that will be all right. The next day, mech warriors and crew crowd into a narrow barrack hallway to watch Toxic face off against Promenade in one final game of corridor bocce. In the winning play, Toxic bounces his last ball off the corridor wall twice to send Promenade spinning away toward the audience. The crew erupts in cheers and continue to talk about the match for days afterwards, and we get morale. And morale is very valuable, so that is a good pickup for us. All right, well, this is going to be a good point to go ahead and put a cut in the video, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.